It is adult make-believe. Who's watching your children? Hi guys, and welcome to the Healeyverse, or welcome back. I'm Katie, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to create a LARP character, specifically a Hobbit LARP character. Now, to preface this really quick, we've made a couple videos. It should be obvious that this is all because of the Brandywine Festival, which, tragically, we won't be able to attend this year. However, we are still making ourselves Hobbit LARP characters in anticipation of future events. Bring it to Europe. Bring it to the UK, specifically. Please, please, please bring it. Disclaimer, I have never LARPed. That being said, I have done many D&D campaigns, built many characters for those, and I'm also a writer and have fleshed out many characters for my stories. So character creation at its core is pretty much the same. The main difference with LARP is you are fully immersing yourself in that character, you are becoming that character for the length of the LARP, at least for all in-character time. Most of the things I'm going to be talking about today are Hobbit specific, somewhat, but you can get a general idea for creating any character from the questions and such that I'm going to pose. You can do this in any order. You don't need to start with a name, you can end with a name. The name can be the last thing you figure out, but you are going to need a name. Now, my husband and I are obviously planning to LARP as a married couple, so we've got the same last name, and we've picked the name Greenhill because it's like a slight twist on our last name, Healeyverse. Does it make sense? I feel like it should make sense. So now my challenge is coming up with a first name. Now, based on the female Hobbit names that I know in the lore, there's Rosie, Rose, there's Belladonna, a plant, and then, some weirder names. But there's a lot of focus, at least on the females, of natural names, flowers and plants. Examples like Iris and Hazel and Lily and Daisy would be all great names. So I'm definitely leaning towards something planty. I like Posy. I really like Posy. So I'm kind of leaning towards that one. No one steal it. Mine, probably. Kidding. Just like baby names, you can't really claim them, can you? I think Posy Greenhill sounds kind of adorable, but we'll see what I end up deciding. I've got a couple of ideas. You can build your character to fit the name. You can figure out the name after the fact to go with your character, or they can have no correlation whatsoever. Specifically for hobbits, something that could be really helpful to figure out would be what clan or clans are in their lineage. To figure that out, on our other channel, I posted a Hobbit LARP character video based on their clans. That is more lore related, so it is on our other channel, The Lore Dimension. I'll link it right here. Go check that out for the history of hobbits and to kind of figure out where you fit among the Stores, Fallowhides, and Harfoots. My husband and I are leaning into Storish descent with potentially some Harfoot tied in. At the very least on my side. Definitely Harfoots are homebodies, and that's me to a T. So, the clan they come from can also kind of tie into the next question, which is where in the Shire are they from? Are they native to Hobbiton? Are they from Buckland? There's lots of different locations. Are they from Bree? And I think you'll find a lot of these questions do tie in with each other for building a character. And building a character's backstory, which is important. I will tell you, my first D&D campaign, our DM said to bring a backstory. I wrote 6 pages by hand of my character's backstory. It's alright though, I got worse. In a later campaign, I wrote 2 separate backstories because my character had a traumatic brain injury and had no memory prior to an event. Prior to the event that gave her the injury. So she had one backstory that she remembered, and another backstory that would be revealed later in the campaign that she didn't even know. So I like writing backstory. It's fine. Now, one of the things that can tie directly into where your hobbit is from is how they feel about the big folk. That's men, elves, even dwarves, technically. For instance, if your character is from Bree, they kind of have to be fine with men. It's where they're from. Whereas if they're more from the Shire, you know, maybe not. There are certain places, I believe more towards Buckland, where hobbits will trade with dwarves. So again, where you're from and how you feel about the big folk, it's they're not separate entities. Given that the Brandywine Festival is a festival, one of the ways you can help flesh out your character is what is their motivation for going to the festival? Why do they want to be at the Brandywine Festival? Are they native to Hobbiton and it's just happening there? And they're like, why not? It's on our front door, we might as well go. Did they travel for some type of trade? I've had some people comment on our other video and give me kind of their character story, and I love it. So if you are going and you have a character story, put it in the comments. I want to know, you know, are you a beekeeper? Are you a bookbinder? Are you a trinket collector like Skilltree? Do you sell beer? There's so many different... Are you a fabric maker? Are you a seamstress? Did you go to try and buy things, try and sell things? Are you attending just for the fun of it? Are you like a festival hobbit? You know, like music festival. Anyway, never mind. So that can be a contributing factor as to why you're even there, which can influence the way you act when you're there. Is it purely business? Is it fun? Is it a family trip? Maybe. I don't know. Are kids allowed? I don't think they are. Who's watching your children? These can all tie into my next question, which is, what is your character's personality? Speaking from experience with D&D, and from what I've heard from people who have LARPed, you want to avoid the brooding loner, because you're not going to have as much fun. When you are when your character is standoffish and not willing to interact with others, you're going to miss out on so much. I have learned, at least in D&D, and I'm sure in LARPs, the character who is willing to talk to a stranger, you know, ask questions of an NPC, they're going to get so much more out of the experience and have so many more stories to tell. Because if you're really standoffish, no one's going to want to talk to you. Whereas if you're outgoing, and I get it, I'm a socially awkward person and I'm not the most outgoing. No, that's not true. I'm an introvert. I force myself to be outgoing, but I can struggle initially in social situations. So this is where props can come in. If you're not sure who to talk to, do you have a prop, or can you make a prop that could be some kind of icebreaker? You know, do you have a journal where you document every person you meet? Are you trying to find a long lost relative? Like, there are so many ways where you can use a prop that incorporates into your character to strike up a conversation with a stranger, or to bring in interest from other people who may have similar interests as your character, to create a conversation, to create a nicer experience for you. Exactly. Husband. Could be as simple as, where is the best place to sell these fish? Or buy. You know? Yeah, where can I buy a quill? Because I broke mine. Or anything. Make it part of your character. You can be shy. That's perfectly okay. But, you know, why is your character shy? Think through these things. What are your character's weaknesses? What are their flaws? Because no one is perfect. No one. Promise you that. Even Samwise Gamgee had a weakness, and it was Frodo. So. But Being able to speak to your character's strengths and weaknesses gives them more depth. You know, are you really good at public speaking? Can you sing? You know, are you more like a bard? Goodness knows, Merry and Pippin, you know, Pippin might not be the brightest light bulb in the pack, but he can sing and drink at the same time, yeah. Another thing to think about, and this can be universal to any LARP, but especially when it comes to hobbits, what is your financial status or class? For instance, if you are well enough off like Bilbo, you don't need to have a trade. You can just be rich. But don't make it your whole personality. You know, are you working class? Are you lower class? Another thing, do you live in a smile, or do you live in like a structured house? Because structured houses did exist. They're not all holes in the ground. Just so you know. Going back onto props, is there a prop that could have a personal attachment or have some kind of sentimental value to you? That can help you build your character, whether it's picking a prop that you really want to take with you and building a bit of a backstory around it, or having a backstory and then acquiring a prop that goes with that backstory. For example, Skilltree has talked a bit about his character, and he's a trinket collector. And so he just has lots of trinkets, and I'm sure he's going to make up stories, even if it's on the spot. I'm sure he's going to make up stories around lots of them. And you know what? If you're going to the Brandywine Festival, make it a point of asking him about a random trinket, because I want him to have to make up stories about all of them. Even down to, what is your personal style for fashion? You know, do you always wear a hat? Do you have a lot of trinkets in your vest? You know, it can be things like the way you dress and your appearance that leans into your character. You know, who is your character? Who do you want them to be? Another one, and this one's a fun story. What does your hobbit fear? Now, my first D&D character, again, the one with 6 pages of backstory, had a somewhat irrational fear of squirrels. It went back to childhood trauma and sibling bullying, but she had an irrational fear of squirrels. Now, mind you, where we were in the campaign, there were no squirrels. But she also didn't really know the difference between squirrels and rats. She was very sheltered. But our first encounter, I think, it might have been our second encounter, but it was very early on. I got to play out this irrational fear of squirrels that manifested through rats, because what's the difference? And she was horribly traumatized and struggled through that encounter because there were so many rats. And I'm pretty sure that was the first day of the campaign, which meant the DM wouldn't have even read the backstory before making the encounter, so this was just pure happenstance. God, I miss Tempest. She was a fun character. Let me know if you want to hear more like D&D stories, because I have some. It's been a while since I've played, but oh boy, did I used to play. One of the most fun things about creating any character, whether it's for D&D or LARP or any other role-playing game, whether it's live action, tabletop, is you get to put as much or as little of yourself into the character as you want. I've still not decided what trade my character is going to have. I might go for seamstress because I'm into that, and sewing is something that I could do as an activity if my hands are still and I want them busy. I'm not sure. I've also considered, given the store heritage, like shoemaking, but I actually don't know how to make shoes, so if you are going to go as a tradesperson of a trade that you don't have experience in, do a little bit of research just so you have talking points and, you know, some knowledge of the subject. But again, it doesn't have to be your personal experiences. That's the fun of it. It is adult make-believe. I love it. I'm never growing up. If you do want to see a more in-depth look at fashion based on class of the Hobbits, I believe, and I'll put something on screen if it's incorrect, I believe it was Jess of the Shire that did one that was really in-depth and looked properly at the difference. Yes, it was Jess of the Shire. She looked at fashion for Hobbits based on class and specifically compared, you know, Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin based on the individual class. and their fashion, and it was such a good video. So definitely check that out, because what you wear should definitely reflect what you do and who your hobbit is, class-wise and financially wise, which kind of ties in together, doesn't it? You can go as in-depth or not into making your character's backstory as you want. It's really up to you. I have honestly done characters before where I just kind of made stuff up on the fly. Like, you can do that as long as you stay, what's the word? Thank you. As long as you stay consistent. Unless, of course, your hobbit is a pathological liar. In which case you could have some fun with that. Anyway, I think that's pretty much everything I have on the basics of making your Hobbit LARP character. If you find this at all helpful, please do tell me in the comments. If you use this to make your character, I want to hear about it. Tell me about your Hobbit LARP characters. I want all of it. Are you going with anyone? Is it just you? Is it your first LARP? Tell me everything down in the comments. And while you're there, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you get notified whenever we have a new video coming out, because I'm sure we will be making more Hobbit content coming up. If you want to check out our other Hobbit content, we have a couple of videos. There's a pipe hug, which is like a pipe frog, but hug is a cuter name. A long bottom leaf pouch. I've made aprons. I've made cloaks. I didn't make this top. All I did is tea stain this one, but there was a different top that I also modified to be more hobbity, because I want all of my clothes to be more hobbity. I want my life to be more hobbity. Can I be a hobbit? I want to live in a hole for real. Like a nice one. Not a dirty or wet or smelly hole, as Tolkien said. Anyway, it's editor me popping in to say real quick, if you do want to support the channel more than just liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications, we do have a Patreon, and any support there goes directly to buying supplies for things to make for the channel. It is linked in the description, and the lowest tier is $1. Thanks. With that, I'm gonna end the video, and I will see you in the next one. Whatever that may be. Do a speed run of videos today.